have their mind set on what the Spirit desires. The mind of the sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. The sinful mind is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those controlled by the sinful nature cannot please God. You, however, are controlled not by the sinful nature, but by the Spirit, if the Spirit of God lives in you. Anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to Christ. But if Christ is in you, your body is dead because of sin, yet your spirit is alive because of righteousness. Okay, everybody remember that when we say this at the end of the year, you get to break it up into the 3 sections. Okay? Yes, sir, David.
I thought we were supposed to do Alex today.
We are going to as soon as we do our lesson, but we're going to do our lesson first, and then I'm going to give you Alex. Okay? All right, everybody look up here. We are doing Lesson 58, distance from a point to a line. And this is very, very simple. If you'll watch it, pay attention. It's not difficult. We're talking about finding the distance between a point and a line. And what we're going to do is find the perpendicular drop to the line so that this will become a right angle. That is the closest distance between the point and the line. Okay, so what we're going to look at for the line first is we know the line has a slope of 1/2. So this perpendicular line that we're trying to make is going to have a slope of what?
-2.
It's going to have a slope of -2. So this perpendicular line, perpendicular slope is a -2. Because we don't know what that point is where these two are going to cross. So we're going to make this line, which goes through this point, -3, 5, and has a slope of a -2. Then we're going to see where this line and this line intersect, and then we will find the distance between those 2 points. So it's a 3-step process here, okay? So we're going to make the equation of the line that is perpendicular to this original line through that point. So we're going to use, we could use our, what? That doesn't look perpendicular. Okay, we're going to use our point slope form to get to the line. So we have y minus y1 is our point, is equal to our desired m. And those of you that are not watching are going to wind up getting to this section and not knowing how to do it. So x minus a -3. Okay, so then when we distribute, we get y minus 5 is -2x minus 6. And when we're trying to get it into the slope-intercept form, we'll say y equals -2x, add 5, and it's a -1. Okay, so this line coming down here is the line, this perpendicular line I've made is y is -2x minus 1. Now that we've found that perpendicular line, we can find the line of the point of intersection. And since I have my original line in its slope-intercept form, and I have my new line in its slope-intercept form, can I set the two y's equal to each other, and I get 1/2 x plus 1 must be equal to -2x minus 1, right? So now when I do it, I get what? When I can subtract the 1 from both sides, so -1, -1. I can add the 2x to both sides, plus 2x, and I wind up with 5/2 x is equal to -2. Multiply by 2, and I get 5x is, or multiply by 2/5, 2/5, and I'm going to get x is equal to -4/5. All right, so this x point here, this is x is -4/5. How do I go about finding the y? Plug it back into either one, right? So I'm going to plug it back into this one because it's a little easier. -4/5 back into here because that's my x, and I get 8/5 minus 1, or 8/5 minus 5/5, okay, is going to be 3/5. So my y is 3/5. Okay, y'all catch me if I make an error because I don't want to get to the wrong answer here. If you see me make an error, please let me know. So here's our point. Negative 4/5, 3/5. Last step. Now I'm going to find the distance between the 2 points, the point desired and this point that is the intersection of the 2 lines. Okay, so what is my distance formula?
No. Yes.
Remember, your distance formula comes from your Pythagorean theorem, doesn't it? When I have a point here and a point here, I'm finding this distance. It's going to be the square of these distances. This point x1, y1. This point x2, y2. This point is x2, y1. Okay? So when I go through there and I find the distance, this one is y2 minus y1. This one is x2 minus x1. And then I take this one squared plus this one squared equals that one squared. That's your distance formula. Okay? So I'm going to take the distance between the 2 x's, the difference between the 2 x's. So I have negative 3 minus a negative 4/5 squared plus this one, which is what? 3/5 minus 5 squared. Now, since I'm squaring the distance, I don't have to be careful about which way I take it, right? I can take it either way I want to. I'm squaring the distance. And then equal to the distance squared. So you know your distance formula is when they take the square root of both sides of that. Okay? So now I've got d squared is, I'm going to add these together. So what's negative 3 plus 4/5? Negative 3, written with a 5 on the bottom, would be negative 15/5. Yes? Plus 4/5 is negative 11/5 squared. So what is a negative 11/5 squared? 121 over 25. Okay, and then this one is going to be plus, I'm going to have 3/5 minus 5, but 5/5 is 25/5, right? So 3 minus 25/5, and remember my sign doesn't matter, so I'm just taking the difference, is 22/5 squared. So I have 22/5 squared, and so even though it's negative, it's going to not matter. So I wind up with 22 times 22. What's 22?
484.
Is that 484? Okay. Check it out. Somebody check that, make sure that's right.
Should be right. Sounds right.
Okay, so then I'm going to do what? 484 over 25 and add. And then since this is d squared, I'm going to take the square root of it, right? Take the square root of that whole thing. Now, on this one, when I add them together, I get the square root of 121 plus 484 is 605 over 25. Okay, so crank that out and give me the square root of that, please. Crank that out, give me the square root of 605 over 25, because we're just looking for a decimal answer.
11/5.
Okay, now when you finish out taking the square root, it's not 11/5. Can you do that?
No, it was 121.
Huh?
121 over
When you did
25.
this and then took the square root? Okay, so you got 121?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's not right, the right answer.
I got 4.919.
That's the right answer. Okay, so when you did this, you got 4.919, which is the correct answer. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, everybody, let's look at another one. I know these are a little bit difficult. Okay, so we're going to turn this thing over a little bit here and look at this side of the board. Okay, now we're doing another problem. Wesley, help me out here. What is the first thing that we have to do to get these problems done?
Write them down.
We're still finding the distance between a point and a line. So we're still looking at this situation. Okay, some point, some line. We're trying to find the perpendicular. So what am I going to do to accomplish this? Anybody? I'm looking for a perpendicular drop here.
Find the
That's what I said.
perpendicular line.
Okay, find the perpendicular slope, and then we will find the perpendicular line. So what would the perpendicular slope be, Peter?
3x.
Okay, so the perpendicular slope that we're looking for is 3 not 3x. Okay, just 3 is the coefficient. So now we're going to make an equation of a line that has a slope of 3 that goes through the point, so it will be this line. So we can do that. Remember, this way, over here I did it using the point slope form. What's another way that we need to practice in finding, Wesley?
Equidistance formula.
No, Wesley. No, we're doing the point, we could do the slope-intercept formula.
That's what I was saying.
Y equals mx plus b. All right, and when we're doing it, we have a slope, m. We have a point, -1, which we can put here. And we have a 5, which we can put here. Which we can figure out this 5 is -3 plus b. Add the 3 to both sides, 8 is b. Okay, so now we have what? Our perpendicular line is y is 3x plus 8. So we have our perpendicular line. Okay, next step.
Y equals y.
Right, we're going to solve the system of equations by setting y equal to y. So we have -1/3 x plus 4 equals 3x plus 8. And then I can get rid of my 4. Okay, so I've got a 4 over here. I'm getting my 3x over here. So I got -1/3 x minus, when I put this over, could I make it a 9/3 x, because it's a 3, is equal to 4. So I got -1x minus 9x is -10/3 x is 4. So then I want to what? Multiply by a reciprocal, -3/10. -3/10. Okay, so then this all becomes x equals what? -12/10 or -6/5, right? -6/5.
Oh, I got that.
Okay, so the point here, the x value of that point is -6/5. Remember, if you see me make a mistake, please let me know.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now that I've got -6/5, and you guys have the book, so you can follow and see if I'm right. So then we have what? We're going to plug in to either equation, because this is a system that's we're solving for this one. If we plugged in the -6/5 here, I'm going to plug it in up here, because part of it's going to cancel.
Wait, what did
Okay.
you plug in?
-6/5
Oh,
for the x. So then I'm going to do what? When my 3 and my 6 will cancel with a 2 on the top and a positive 2/5. So I have a +2 2/5 plus 4,
This
right?
is-
What
are
is
you trying to
positive?
find?
Huh?
What are you trying to find?
That y.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So then I'm going to get what? 20/5.
What is it about?
20/5 plus 2/5. Yes, is 22/5.
Yeah, lots of things.
Okay, those of you that are watching in the book, Wesley Slash, is that the answer? Okay, so now we've got our point. What's the last step? What are we trying to do? Distance from a point to a line. So now we're going to do our distance formula between this point and this point. Okay, which we already talked about is the difference in the x's squared. So the difference in the x's would be what? -1 minus a -6/5. We're subtracting them. So it's going to be a plus a 6/5. So it's going to wind up being a what?
1/5.
1/5 squared, right?
Oh,
All right, and then this one, this difference, and that's 25/5. Minus 22/5 is what?
Okay.
3/5.
Yeah, 3/5.
Obviously.
Is distance squared. So if I take the square root, I'll get the distance. Okay? So I need somebody to crank this one out. What's 1/5 squared?
It's
One
gonna be
fifth.
1 over 25.
1 over 25
or
is
1/25.
0.04, I think.
Yeah.
Right? And then
That's
going to be
9.
0.6 squared,
Yeah, no,
which will be
1/5.
what? 0.36. And when you put them together, you get what? 0.40? Take the square root of 0.40.
40.63245.
Okay, and 0.63 was the one they had in the back. Okay, excellent. All right, go ahead and finish your quiz.